Okay, welcome back to Pile of Projects. Another night in the shop. Maybe get an hour in tonight or something. Had to do a bit of plumbing work in the house. Anyway, I dug up some wheels and maybe we'll try them out for fitment. I had these tucked away, saving them for a car or whatever, but nothing in particular. So those backs are 275 60 15s. Fronts are 215 65 15s. So narrower and maybe a little taller, which is probably ideal. So I'm going to put them on the passenger side of the GTX just to see for size and see what it looks like. I can't do the driver's side because I wasn't unable to find some left-handed mag wheel lug nuts. I think what I'll end up doing is switching these over to right-hand lugs, because what is always the case is you get broken studs. Although if I switch it to right-hand lugs and people expect them to be left, I could still end up with broken studs. But anyway, I'll get this jacked up and I'm going to check the brake situation too in case I have to order some. Before I pull these off, we'll do a little before and after. These are some old tires. I just had to pump it up, but love the square shoulder on these old school. Same with up here. Looks pretty neat. Anyway, what are these? F70 14s. These are 14s all around. So kind of hard to give you a before and after when there's not much room in here. I'll go over here. Okay, that's a little better. I'll jack it up. We'll check the brakes and then we'll pop the center lines on this side and see how that dramatically changes the look. So yesterday, when I was finished the garage, I wrote down the numbers that were on the side of the transmission there. And I looked them up. And this right here indicates 67 to 68 440 high performance transmission. And this here decodes to, it's on a 10,000 day calendar. That decodes to August 31st of 67. The engine on this car is August 30th. And the production date is September 14th. So I don't know about you, but that's got to be as close as you're going to get for numbers matching tranny. So I'm not sure what Roy was remembering. Of course, it's almost 50 years ago or 40 years ago. But this has the original engine and the original transmission in it, because there's no way you're going to get a remand from Sears that it's the correct date and the correct model transmission on an exchange basis. So this is the tranny. So I'm not sure what he was remembering or not remembering, but kind of a neat thing anyway. I'm happy about that. Okay, got this tire off, or this wheel, and we got all kinds of critter debris. 4 decades worth, I'm sure. I'm going to give this a tap with the hammer and pry bar and try and get it off there and have a look at the brakes. After a lot of cussing and hammering and prying with assorted tools, we got her off. It's a good thing I checked. These shoes are toast. You can see right here, they're right at the rivets. So you can see here, it's right at the rivets. So they've done their time. I'll put some shoes on the next order. I have already got spring kits for this. I've already got wheel cylinders. So I've got everything else to refresh this. And then here's the drum. The drum is fairly thick. It's still got a lot of meat on it. If you look real close here, you can see there's still a bevel all the way around here, which means there's a fair bit of meat there. It's still thick. But it does have a few grooves. You can see here. But that won't hurt nothing. The shoe will just wear into that and it'll be fine. So we'll just leave it at that for now. I don't know if it's worth going in and getting them turned. So yeah, I'll get the, I'm going to adjust these brakes in because they were a real bear to get off. I'm going to adjust them in so I can get the drum on and off easier, and then we'll get that wheel mounted up. Another shot, typical of the day. See, they sliced open the rear wheel lip to hammer it flat, and then all above there they hammered it in to get some big tires on there. So that's just the way it was done back then. Get her done. I got the front tires off. I just wanted to show you guys the difference between the, so these are 14s that I'm taking off, and 15s I'm putting them on. I think the 14s are slightly taller, or very close anyway. But yeah, I'm anxious to see what these look like. Here's another shot. I remember I told you before, any of the Chrysler cars that came with like a Magnum wheel or a rally wheel with an open spoke design, they always painted the drums red. So this looks to be a factory drum from 1968. And they always have this spring on here. I believe that's to control harmonics and stuff. So I'm going to pop that off, have a look inside, and yeah, make my assessment of what it needs. I got the cap off, as you can see here, and my first impression is very dry on grease. So I'm going to re-grease all that anyway before I put it all back together, but yeah. Give you a little shot of this bearing here. See how dry it is. Wash it and come off. It's so dry that the grease is actually sticky. It's sticking. It's really tacky to my hand. So yeah, definitely need to use some grease here. I better check that inner seal on here. I'll pop this off and have a look. With some more wrestling, I got the drum off. These shoes are in much better shape. They're really good and they're usable, and these are the bonded style. They don't have the rivets. The drum's not as good. It's a lot thinner in here, and some grooves too. These shoes have obviously worn into them. I'm going to leave them for now, and we'll see if we have any warpage issues or, you know, hard spots in them or something. But yeah, I might replace this seal just because. But everything else is good. I have all new springs, all new wheel cylinders, just like the back. So I still want to put this back together just because I want to see that center line on there. Give you a little shot in here before I put the wheel back on. Kind of an odd ball joint. Normally these are just flat across with the grease zerk, but this has got a big extra spot on there. I'm not sure if that's aftermarket from back in the day or if that's what the factory ones look like, but I don't recall ever seeing one like that. But I wanted to show you the collision damage. So this is the fender, and this inner apron should be flush with this fender to bolt it up, but you can see the gap in there. And they didn't think they needed the splash shield for here, so yeah. More, oh, look at that. Looking on the bumper bracket here too. It's got a big pucker in it, so this thing's so bent, but whatever. Oh, there we go. They're all on there. I think it looks awesome. The bigger, fatter tires. Shauna hates Centerlines, so does my kid Tyler, and I think the majority of my friends hate them too, but that doesn't matter because I like them. You can see how it fills up the wheel well so much better. Tires at a bit of an angle because I still got the 14s on the other side, so the whole axle's twisted, but I'm going to roll up the door and show you from the back. I think it's a tremendous difference. I'll show you both sides here. So this side's going to be more of a dramatic difference because this had smaller tires. These are the stock Magnums with stock size tires. The tires on the Mags on the other side were bigger to begin with. So anyway, well, look at that. From back here, we'll come around. So you can see how far the wheel is on the wheel well. To me, it just doesn't, it's not flattering, that's for sure. And then here's the center lines. The front center lines are fairly thin, and I don't mind that. It gives it sort of a big and little drag look, but I think that's a massive improvement, and I think these are going to be what I run on this car. You see how they really fill up the wheel well much better. And lots of spring clearance here on the inside. So yeah, I think that's a big win. Well, here we are again. It's another night in the shop. I think 1 or 2 days have gone by since I started this video, but today I picked up some new wheel studs for the driver's side, just to get back to, right studs, normal studs on this side, because I want to put the center lines on. They require a special mag wheel nut, and the left-hand ones are really hard to find and they get pricey. So I just thought, well, I'll just put normal ones on. I got lots of wheel nuts for, right-hand thread. So we'll do that tonight and see what else we can get into. Got the wheel off this side. This one's missing the spring. I was thinking, oh, maybe it's an aftermarket again, but you can see here it's got the Chrysler Pentastar logo on there. So these are factory drums. We'll get it apart and see what it looks like inside. Now it's got some numbers here, 2743. Now I don't know how that reads or how it's supposed to read. Maybe that's 274th day of 73, maybe, or 83. I don't know, but they are Chrysler drums, so we'll get that off there. Okay, drum is off. Just as I expected, this side's pretty thin, just like the other front is. Look at this, hey? These are made with a groove down the center. Never seen that before. The drum itself is fairly smooth. It's a little thin here on the margin, so, they got some wear. Quite possibly they could be the original drums. They are Chrysler drums. But for right now, I'm just going to bang out these wheel studs. And I was looking at them, and I see they just had a funny, where are we getting there? They had a funny shape on them along the bottom where they mated with the drum, but looks like they were sort of swedged in there. But I think they should hammer out pretty good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread one of the lug nuts on, and I'll put it right up towards flush, similar, something like that. And what I'll do is I'll use that to hammer on to tap it out. I would like to save these if I can, just for reuse for other cars. I mean, these were like $5 a piece to buy new. But looking back here, typical of left-hand thread lugs, you get people that don't know and they hammer and snap them off. So I'll keep these just for spares on some other cars if needed. But yeah, I'll bang them out. Well, I tried banging out the first one on the hoist. Of course, there's just too much flex on there, so I need to get it on the ground. The first one came out pretty easy. So I'll give you a shot of the next one here. They are swedged on, so it's taken a few hits for sure. Missed a couple times, hit that centerpiece. Anyway, little tap, it's out. They did have a little swedge. They were mounted in there. And you can see the little marks all around the edge where I would assume the factory switched them on. Let's see if they match what I just bought. They are different front to back. The axle flange are a little different from this wheel hub. But let's see. They look the same. So yeah, a lot longer teeth on this one, but that shouldn't matter. Everything else looks the same. So as long as the diameter is the same, which it looks like, we'll pop these in. I'm managing to save. It's not destroying these studs, taking them out, so I just got to stop hitting the center of this. That's probably not good for it. Get that bearing race all out of whack. But I'll get the rest of these out. Well, as will quite often happen, is we ran into our first snag. So we've got the two studs. Well, this one is a little longer, although maybe not, just a hair. The problem is they're a different diameter. So here's the stock stud. Of course, it's a friction fit because it needs to be. You know, you can see how it's got to be hammered in. But then you get the new one. That right there, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to keep the drum on the hub, and it's not going to keep from spinning. To tighten your lugs or to loosen them. So, you know, you go in there, you ask for wheel studs for a 68 GTX. This will be what they give you, and they do not fit. Quite certain that's a 68 GTX. Quite certain these are not the right ones. Okay, let's get the calipers out and measure the difference. So zero it out. .7 millimeters. You can see 15.7. .1. Let's take it out of metric. Zero it out. .636. I don't know if you can see that. .623. So for something that's supposed to be a friction fit, that's not a whole lot of friction. So hopefully they can get us some other ones. I mean, worst case scenario, I have lots of old drums and stuff. I could probably steal some lugs off for those, and maybe I should have done that to begin with, because these were about $5 each. So I'll take them back tomorrow and see if they have another listing. Maybe the guy screwed up. I don't know. In fact, I'll check on Rock Auto under the Dorman part and see if they list it as the same part number for that application, but this is not going to work. Well, let's get this wheel off and measure these and see if this is going to be any different. See, I even did it. You gotta think about these things. There's only 3 lugs on there. I was gonna say I'll work at getting this off, but it doesn't seem like it's. I'll get that off. Be back in a minute. Well, that drum came off real easy. The other side was a bit of a fight. This one has the bevel here too. There's a lot of thickness to the surface area, but these shoes are a little thinner than the other side. They're still good and smooth and stuff, so I'll keep them for now because I know the other side's good. Most of your braking's on the front anyway, but these are going to need it at some point. I don't know, maybe I'll just do it all at once, be done with it. We'll see what my mood is. Anyway, we're going to measure these studs here. Okay, this one's been zeroed. I guess we can use any of them to break the broken ones just fine. Okay, we are at 0.615. It's still zeroed. I'll see if I can get an accurate reading through the bag. I don't want to open it if I don't have to. So I take it back. Make sure the plastic's not folded. That was 615. This is 665. So this is bigger. Well, I think I'll pound one of these out. One of these studs out of the axle and physically try it for fit. This looks like it's probably an interference fit here at the back, so that's what we're after. Well, I gave that one a whack and it came out fairly easy. So we'll pop this other stud in from behind and see. First of all, we'll just try it this way. Yeah, so we got a friction fit there. So I'll get all these in the back axle, but the front we'll have to figure out. And to get these in, of course I can't, unless I take the axle out. You can't pound on that, right? So I'll put a big nut there, and then I'll use the gun and drive this into the other nut, and that'll pull the stud through. So we'll get busy on that. Show you how slick this works. Just like that, pops them out. And again, I put the old nut on just so we can preserve the stud for future use on another car. I mean, there's, where are we here? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you know, totally usable on another application. So I don't know, does that make me a hoarder or just really well prepared? Let's try this again. Let's get the stud through the back, put our spacer on, and a lug. Now I tried the one already and it just pulls it through. Although this bolt, this big nut spacer, is a little too small diameter and I can't seem to find a bigger one, so I'm going to pull it through and then I'll have to switch out to that bigger one. Make sure it's not spinning at the back. Okay, so take the nut off. I'm going to switch spacers, and the reason is once we get to the bottom, this, where are we here? This nut bottoms out on the shoulder. So, although this one might be too big for the nut. I'll have a look here. Yeah, it's just got a fraction to go. Maybe I'm just gonna hammer it on anyway. Let's see. Let's have a look here. Oh yeah, she's right to the bottom. And this thing gets hung up on the shoulder, so it's got a bigger socket to get that off. Doesn't do any damage. Just gets slightly swedged on there. Anyway, that's 2 in. I'll do the other 3, and then we got put that beautiful centerline wheel on there. Well, it's on. I was hoping to show you the whole side with front and rear tires, but I'm just going to show you the back. It just tucks up in there and fills up the wheel well so nicely. So anytime you put fat tires on a car, it's just such an improvement. I'll give a shot out the back. I don't know if it's going to show up so much because it's so dark, but anyway, I think that's a massive improvement. Even with all the rust. A rusty hot rod. Yeah. That's goodness right there, I tell you. And I don't care if a lot of people don't hate or don't like centerlines. I do. And the height really makes up a difference too. The 275 is a pretty tall tire. I believe it's 28 inches tall. And so it'll jack the back up a little bit, which is the 70s vibe that I like with these cars. Well, I was poking around here under the hood, and remember earlier I was talking about one of the rockers being really loose. So there's something going on here on the passenger side head. I'll take these out just so I can check them for straightness here. No. These are just your basic stock type. Yeah, so I roll them on a table, but thus far they look pretty straight. So we'll leave those here. I'll grab the other side. But I'll show you here something going on with this head. I'm not sure what that's about. You know, I've always wanted to get one of those boroscope cameras, you know, for looking inside engines and stuff. And I think that would be definitely a handy thing to have here. Okay. These are the push rods from the other side. Like I say, I'll roll them on a flat surface, but first inspection is they look good. Now, to best show you this, I'll go get a straight edge. Well, you can probably see what's going on without the straight edge here. But put this across. And now the second to last one looks low, but if you look at how low that one is. Right there by the 10-inch mark. Well, actually, the 10 and the 8-inch mark are stuck down. So I'm thinking maybe they're just seized valves in the head just from sitting. I'll see if I can spray some oil in there, and I'll give them some taps and see if they come up. My first thought was maybe there's debris between the valve and the seat. But, you know, if it was just one in one cylinder, I could maybe see that, but there's a few going on. I think I'll take the straight edge to the other side too. But it looks to me like there's 3 valves stuck low. I'm also going to check the camshaft lobes just to see, well, and I'll check every lifter. I'll pull every lifter out and check them one by one. That stuff all looks good, but I'll just make sure we don't have a flat cam lobe. And then, of course, bent push rods. They look straight. So at this point, I'm thinking it's just stuck valves. Maybe I'll spray some WD in there or something. I'm not sure if I can even get in there with that, but, you know, with the valve seals and stuff. Anyway, have another look here. Well, good news. Just gave him a little love tap with this. It actually didn't even take much. It was just valves stuck. So now you can see they are all up to where they're supposed to be. And the other side was already up, and I tapped them and they're all free. So I think we just got 3 valves that are a little stiff in the guides. But that's good news, because I was thinking, oh great, you know, this is going to snowball, and now the engine or the head's got to come off, and you know, the more you look, the more you find, right? But I think this will be fine. Disaster averted. Well, that ends another night in the shop. Sometimes things just don't go your way. I'll have to find some wheel studs tomorrow and try that again. Then we'll have to get into some brake work, I guess. But we're getting there, on its way for this rusty relic to hit the road as a rusty relic. But anyway, like and subscribe if any of this is interesting, and thanks for watching Pile of Mopars.